All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about taking GMP practices to the next level. To do that, we're going to talk again about bridging the gap between real quality, that culture of quality we've been talking about, and your manufacturing processes and how to take them to a new digital age. And to do that, we're going to be talking about, again, like we have the culture of quality and how to take those quality processes and your manufacturing processes into one, really creating that culture of quality and taking it to a digital environment that is successful. To do that, of course, we have to get out of the old mentality where basically we needed to have a requirement on our job applications for manufacturing to be penmanship.
That's right, Terrance. So CGMP is all about quality and getting, like you said, that culture of quality. And without the digitization, we're not going to get there.
That's right.
Hey everyone, Dave Latimer here. I've been at MasterControl for almost 4 years. My background is in software development, kind of all aspects of software development, and currently I run the team of product owners. So we are the ones that help the developers understand your problems that you were trying to solve and get those into the software.
And hello again, I am Terrance Holbrook, Principal Director of Product Management at MasterControl. And this series is hitting right at home for me. 20 years in manufacturing, dealing with all the CGMP things, and basically here to remind us that good manufacturing practices is much more than writing down and understanding if you can see if that's a 9 or a 6 or a 1 or a 7. And to do that, we need to look back at the inheritance of quality, because quality is about the process producing that ethical and safe product, not about producing paperwork at the end. You can't test quality, you can't build quality in after the product's already been done. And so to do that, we need to get these systems into a digital format and take it out of all these disparate systems into a singular one.
So all the regulations talk about CGMP, Terrance. Companies spend hours in classrooms really teaching penmanship, right?
Well, yes, but it's more than just penmanship, right? We have to get to that good manufacturing practice element, which we all know that, you pull those new employees in, you have them go through the, CGMP training, you have to gown up, you have to do, follow the specifications, make sure you have the correct documentation. We'll touch on that today. And then we have an hour-long or 2-hour-long class on making sure that penmanship is readable, because that is the number one issue that quality departments deal with today, is penmanship on paper, not necessarily the actual quality of the product.
So CGMPs are all about meeting the requirements and shipping a quality product.
Exactly, yes. CGMPs are not about dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Those should have already been done, we would hope, right? And so how do you take all this information that we're looking to collect that is on paper, or maybe a little bit of it digital in disparate systems, and bring it into a fully digital solution that is meaningful, right? The steps to taking manufacturing documentation digital and electronic start with identifying everything that you want to connect. You have to look and go, what do we need to bring into the digital world so that we can make sure that we're making informative decisions and ethical product is shipped, right? And one of the largest areas we talk about is labeling, right? Labeling is an interesting one. It's one of the highest, 483 issuances by the FDA. It's issues across the globe. And labeling really is interesting because the base of it is quite simple. You have a label that meets requirements already predefined, have already been approved by the entity needed to do so, and that label goes on a product.
So you're saying you print the label out before you create the product, right?
Yes, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, so wouldn't it be nice if that was up to date? So why are there so many 483s, right? And it's because the systems are disparate, right? So when you're looking at labeling, you really need to understand where the label is in change control, how it's getting to the manufacturing floor, and why it's getting into issues on the floor, right? And so if we can digitize that, let's say an operator's putting a label on, live time scanning of the label, matching it to a current revision, is a digital achievable environment. We can really look at that in today's world. We had a client of ours that was wanting to do this at a hyper level, right? They wanted the system, every single bag of materials that went into the formulation, they wanted scanned and checked against the barcode against whether that was the right material or not. So that's an example of scanning a label in, and then at the end of the process, they have a scanner at the end of the line that reads each label and measures it visually against the specification within the digital system. Talk about making sure you don't have a labeling issue anymore going out. It's all achievable when we make the plan and follow it through to take that digitization all the way through the process. Another area that we're going to focus on is the assembly and packaging, where labels are consumed, right? And so, but there's new elements that enter now. So you have digital elements, who's working on the line, and in today's COVID, that has become more of an interest into our companies, right? Who's working on the line, maybe including personalized elements about have their temperature been taken. Outside of already today, it'd be nice if we could include training. Is their training up to date? Have the SOPs been read? Are they looking at the right one?
So, Terrance, what about vision systems and other types of in-process quality controls?
Oh, absolutely. I was talking about the labeling system, right? Vision systems have come a long way. Pulling that information live time and feeding it into, vision systems are used to take measurements to tens of thousands, right? Vision systems have become very accurate. They can check the fill volume. They can look and make sure that a manufacturing line is running appropriately. It can actually look for scraps and different elements falling off of bottles. It can look for particulates as well. So vision systems are a great way to bring that manufacturing information directly into a digital system. And of course, then there's manufacturing and assembly. And a lot of people ask, well, what's the difference between manufacturing and assembly? Manufacturing has a much deeper embodiment into the quality system. You're talking about changing one element to another. For example, if you're using a Swiss lathe, you're taking metal and turning it down based on a specification. If you're going in and taking metals and bending them and arcing them. So you're entering a world where now you have to meet certain elements. One of the key elements here is anodizing. We used to anodize wands for different operations, and different frequencies electrodes change it to a different color. And it's interesting that you actually have to have a very, very tight tolerance to achieve those colors. And so again, if that color is something that's critical, you have to make sure that manufacturing process is scaled to meet those specifications. And if those specifications are out of date, we now have an issue.
So how often are specifications or requirements changing, Terrance?
Oh man, they are changing constantly, even on the line. Manufacturing changes, might update a document, and then that document gets sent in for change control.
So a paper document gets sent to the quality department in theory at least, right?
In theory, yes.
If all goes according to plan, it goes.
Yeah.
And how quickly does that change make it into the official record?
Well, in a paper world, it should take weeks, months, right? And manufacturing now has to have another process in place to understand what they did last time in case it hasn't gone through change controls so they can adapt it. So you can see all this time loss worrying about the specifications when if they were live time provided to manufacturing at the point. Another point in time is in a machining world or in an injection molding or thermoforming, how often that operator is looking at a specification or drawing that is paper. And even if a quality management system is digitized, that quality leader still has to take that, print it out, take it to the floor because they have no way to interact with the digital systems. And how often is that specification out of date? Well, there's 483s to tell you how often the FDA catches it, let alone how often it happens. So again, to be able to go to that digital step, we have to look at all these areas of where the data needs to be unsiloed. It needs to be taken and put into a full system. Now, of course, earlier I talked about bags of material going into a mixer. Formulating is an area where you have all kinds of quality information. You have C of A's you're matching for raw ingredients coming in. You have raw ingredients going in, active ingredients, which are highly governed by the FDA. So information in and out of a formulation process is very critical to be part of that system that is closed looped. So if you have a formulation process or a compounding process, we really need to make sure that we're looking at how to connect that operator to live information in a digital system outside of that broken paper system we have today.
So Terrance, what is the difference between QA and QC?
So QA is quality assurance, right? That is assuring that quality has been met. Quality control is the aspect of taking an element and running a challenge or an inspection to make sure that it met the manufacturing process to produce that quality part. So basically, quality assurance is putting into place those processes to make sure that they are met. And speaking of quality control, when you're talking with quality control, it's interesting how often that is in paper. I can tell you some of the highly automated companies I've been in, they even say, yeah, we're paperless. And you go out to the manufacturing floor and there's clipboards with their challenge or inspection information being collected. That is a critical piece of information for continual improvement, for process control. That should be being fed into a digital system, and it's often one that's left out. And in fact, most of the companies that we've taken manufacturing to an automation level, QC is a secondary thought. And I always talk to them, I say, why? That's actually the place I kind of would have started, because I want to know how the machine's running, how those challengers are doing, so I can feed that information back to the operators, back to the equipment to make sure that I'm having that continual improvement.
And you can make those changes, those needed changes on the line without having to print out a piece of paper and run it over.
Exactly.
And hoping that that information makes it back somehow to some system.
Exactly. And so speaking of this, we invited an old friend of mine, Rob Thorson from Nelson Labs, and a laboratory is in essence a QC testing facility, right? So Rob runs the quality department at Nelson, and his role is to govern the quality assurance aspects of the entire company's quality controls programs. And so he's here today, and he's going to talk to us about his challenges and rewards and dealing with digital systems, especially in today's COVID environment.
Hi, I'm Rob Thorson, Director of Quality Assurance at Nelson Laboratories. We are a third-party testing facility for medical device, pharmaceutical, and tissue. Most manufacturers that require FDA submission or regulatory body submission to put their devices into market must go through a third-party testing facility like ourselves. I'd say being a leader in medical device testing and in Nelson Labs' mission to safeguard global health, it has been so crucial and important for us to have a partnership with MasterControl, especially as COVID-19 has impacted our social environment, our work environment. Having a paperless system or a process to help us with training, a document collaboration, and to ensure that we have good documentation practices through our processes and systems has been a blessing, as we've partnered with MasterControl over the years. I feel if we did not have MasterControl with this, we would have had significant backlogs in trying to resource and adjust as a business to ensure that we can meet the demands of many of our own customers.
Thanks, Rob. It's always exciting being in product to hear how our customers are really thriving in this challenging time right now. And it's great that they're using MasterControl to really make the most out of this time.
Right. And again, today we've gone over quite a few areas of how to digitize and kind of some steps we need to get there. And again, you're not alone, right? We're here, reach out to us, as well as we have many partners in this field that can help you take those steps to get the good vision of what parts of your company need to come into a digital environment and where you need to connect those dots and how to get there with systems.
So Terrance, in summary here, we want to emphasize that culture of quality, that we're bringing the manufacturing world and the manufacturing department and the quality department together.
Yes.
One without the other doesn't work, right? We've got to work together, and in a digital world, those departments work so much better together.
Yes, and transparency helps in the compliance process, right? Because really that's the goal here, is to build that ethical, safe product that is financially responsible to the company, right? And to do that, we have to be able to look at those pain points that we're dealing with and get past them so that we can gain the values of a faster production line, faster to market, be able to reduce the lost time in trying to connect the dots. The digital systems connect them for us so that we don't have to go find the papers and understand it, right? So that's incredibly important to be able to meet those OKRs and those KPIs for the company to drive them to the next level. Whether your company has exceeded in growth due to COVID and is trying to keep up, or has struggled a little bit and we've had to figure out how to do more with less, right? Digitizing systems is the fastest way to get there.
And we know many of you are thinking implementing a digital system is an arduous task, but it doesn't have to be. Companies are making the shift to a digital system every day. And we just heard from Rob how invaluable the process has been for their business.
Exactly. Going digital is the wave of the future. It's the only way to elevate to that culture of quality throughout the company. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining me today. I
Thanks.
appreciate it. Now back over to you, Jen.